My dad refused to walk me down the aisle because my sister, who can't stand me, threw a party on the same day. But he completely lost it when he discovered who stepped in to take his place. Can you imagine the moment you realize your own father would choose a petty rivalry over one of the most important days of your life? My wedding day was supposed to be a dream, but it became a nightmare when my dad bailed on walking me down the aisle, all thanks to my sister's twisted game. And what he didn't see coming next. That's the part that still gives me chills. Our house in Allentown, Pennsylvania, it was a postcard picture from the outside. A white picket fence, tulips bursting with color every spring. My dad, Richard, was my absolute hero then. He'd look at me, his eyes crinkling at the corners, and say, "Adrian, you have the brightest mind I've ever seen. You're going to change the world." Those words? They were everything to me. My mom, Eleanor, was our calm center, her warm brown eyes always patient. She was the one who taught me to bake her famous chocolate chip cookies, the kind the whole neighborhood raved about. She always put our needs before her own. Then, when I was just 12, our world imploded. Mom got a diagnosis no one ever wants to hear: stage 4 pancreatic cancer. The next 6 months were a devastating blur of hospital visits, hushed adult conversations, and watching my vibrant mother slowly, agonizingly, wither away before my eyes. When she passed, it left a gaping, raw wound in our family. A wound we never, ever properly healed. My sister, Vanessa, 3 years older than me, was always complicated. Even before Mom died, I felt her resentment, a strange, simmering jealousy of the close bond Dad and I shared. After Mom was gone, it exploded. Dad vanished into his work, burying his grief in late nights at the office. And Vanessa? She swooped right in, declaring herself the new lady of the house at just 15. "Dad has enough on his plate," she'd snap at me, "without your constant neediness." I watched her transform into someone I barely recognized, someone cold and controlling. Dad seemed grateful for her stepping up, and chillingly, their relationship tightened while mine with him began to fray. Then Dad got promoted to senior partner. More money, even less time. Vanessa saw her chance. She became the master manipulator. "Dad," she'd whisper, "Adrian just blew $60 on art supplies," conveniently leaving out it was for a school project he'd completely forgotten. Or, "Adrian said she doesn't need you to come to her band concert because she knows how busy you are," when I was secretly counting the days, desperate for him to be there. By the time I reached high school, Vanessa had spun a whole twisted narrative about me for our father. According to her, I was rebellious, ungrateful, only interested in my friends. The truth? I was just trying to survive, retreating into my studies and art, desperate to cope with losing both my mom and, it felt like, my father. The ultimate betrayal came during my junior year. I was nominated for a prestigious art scholarship, a huge deal for me. I reminded Dad for weeks about the award ceremony. The night before, I overheard Vanessa on the phone with him. "Adrian told me she doesn't want to make a big deal about tomorrow," she chirped. "She said having you there might make her nervous. Maybe you should just send a card or something." The next day, I sat there alone at the ceremony, watching other proud students accept their awards with their parents beaming beside them. My dad sent a text, "Congratulations." Just a text. Later, I found out Vanessa had called his office, pretending I wanted to reschedule, making him book another commitment. When I finally confronted her, Vanessa just shrugged. "You always want all the attention," she sneered. It's pathetic. At 18, I fled. Applied to schools on the other side of the state, eager for any distance from that toxic house. The University of Pittsburgh offered me a partial scholarship, and I plunged into campus life. It was during sophomore year that I met Benjamin. He was tall, with kind eyes and a quick smile, studying engineering. What struck me most? His family. Warm. Boisterous. His mom, Laura, a kindergarten teacher with a knack for making everyone feel special. His dad, Henry, full of dry humor. His younger brother, Noah. They welcomed me into their home like I'd always belonged there. Like I was family. For 4 years of college and into our early careers, Benjamin was my anchor. My rock. He understood my family pain without judgment, holding me when holidays left me in tears, celebrating my achievements when my own father failed to acknowledge them. After graduation, we moved to Philadelphia, built a life together. Far from the shadow of my family's drama. Monthly calls with Dad were brief, superficial. Vanessa, still back home, still the dutiful daughter, always making sure to remind me that she was the one taking care of Dad. At 27, Benjamin proposed. A vintage sapphire ring, perfect, unique, Just like he said, it reminded him of my artistic spirit. In that moment, pure, unadulterated joy. I pushed away the creeping anxiety of telling them. For one perfect evening, I just wanted to be happy. The next morning, I called Dad. Benjamin proposed last night. I practically burst. The pause. So long. Well, congratulations, he finally mumbled. Like I'd just closed a minor deal at work. No joy. No questions about the proposal. No, let's celebrate. Just flat. Vanessa's text was worse. OMG, congrats, little sis. So happy for you. That ring is so pretty. All those excessive exclamation points screamed one thing: pure, seething jealousy. She'd always struggled with relationships, and I knew this was eating her alive. I just knew it. Despite their lukewarm reactions, we pushed forward. June 15th, 9 months out. Dad confirmed the date. And then, a flicker of hope. I would be honored, Adrian, he said, when I carefully asked him to walk me down the aisle. Honored. It was the closest we'd been in years. Maybe, just maybe, this wedding could heal some of the distance between us. Laura, Benjamin's mom, became my true wedding co-conspirator. She came to every dress fitting, every tasting, offering suggestions without ever being overbearing. You're going to be the most beautiful bride, she'd say, tears in her eyes, as I emerged from the dressing room in my fitted lace gown. It was bittersweet. I felt my own mother's absence so acutely then. But Laura sensed it, always, gently squeezing my hand. Your mom would be so proud of the woman you've become, she'd murmur. Then there was Jack, Benjamin's uncle. A retired English professor in his early 60s, with silver hair and kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. He'd actually listen when I talked about books, about art, about my work in marketing. You have a remarkable eye for what moves people, he'd tell me, after I showed him a campaign for a nonprofit. That's a rare gift. At a family dinner, he beamed, I wouldn't miss your wedding for the world. I've already bought a new suit. His genuine joy. It was a stark, almost brutal contrast to my own family. Dad would confirm his attendance, but never initiated a single question. Vanessa? She declined to be a bridesmaid, citing work commitments. 5 months out. I started noticing things. Vague social media posts from Vanessa. A big event she was planning. When I called, she was evasive. Just something for work. Nothing for you to worry about. But as our wedding date loomed, more posts appeared. Venue scouting, catering options, mentioning June as a target. A knot of anxiety began to form in my stomach. I tried to push it down, tried to focus on my own plans. Then, the bomb dropped. Exactly 3 months before our wedding day. Vanessa called, her voice sickly, sickeningly sweet. Adrian, I just wanted to let you know personally before you see it on social media. I'm hosting a career achievement party on June 15th. My blood ran cold. Vanessa, that's my wedding day. You got the save the date card 8 months ago. She feigned surprise. Oh, did I? It must have slipped my mind when I was planning with the firm. Anyway, it's just a coincidence that the dates overlap. My event's earlier, starts at 11 o'clock at the country club. It should be winding down around the time your ceremony starts at 4 o'clock, so it works out perfectly. Perfectly? My voice rose. You're scheduling a party on my wedding day, knowing Dad will have to choose? Dad can attend both events, she replied smoothly. He's so proud of my achievement. But I'm sure he'll make it to your wedding too. It's not that far a drive. The country club was nearly 2 hours from our venue. Physically impossible. I hung up, heart pounding, and immediately called Dad, begging him to see through it. Did you know Vanessa scheduled her party on my wedding day? Yes, she mentioned it, he replied casually. It's unfortunate timing, but these work events can be hard to reschedule. It's a big achievement for her. But Dad, how will you attend both? You're supposed to walk me down the aisle. I'll make it work, Adrian. I'll go to the first part of Vanessa's event and then drive over for your ceremony. There's no need to make this a bigger issue than it is. But the weeks dragged on. I felt Dad wavering. During our calls, he started mentioning the traffic, asking if we could push the ceremony back an hour, wondering if I really needed him there for the pre-wedding photos. Despite the growing tension, our wedding plans continued. Final dress fittings. Meetings with a photographer. Benjamin and his family remained pillars of support, though I could tell they were increasingly concerned about my father's commitment. Then, just 2 weeks before the wedding. The call. My worst fear. Adrian, he began, his voice tight, uncomfortable. I need to talk to you about the wedding. I've been thinking about the logistics for June 15th, and I don't think I can make it to the ceremony on time. Vanessa's event is really important for her career, and as her father, I need to be there for the whole thing. My world spun. My grip tightened on the phone. You're choosing not to walk me down the aisle at my wedding? I choked out. It's not about choosing, he snapped. It's practical timing. I can't be in two places at once. Maybe you could ask Benjamin's father to walk you down the aisle. Or your friend's dad. I'm sure someone else can do it. Someone else? As if walking your daughter down the aisle was just an interchangeable task that could be delegated to a stranger. I see, I managed to whisper, my voice barely audible. I'll still come to the reception, he added, as if offering some generous compromise. I should be able to make it by 7 or so, depending on traffic. After mumbling goodbye, I dropped the phone. Just dropped it. And collapsed. Just collapsed, sobbing, onto the floor. Benjamin found me there 20 minutes later. He held me tight, his own anger evident in his tense shoulders and clenched jaw. He's not coming, I sobbed into his shoulder. He's choosing Vanessa's party over walking me down the aisle. He doesn't deserve you, Adrian, Benjamin whispered. That night, he even suggested postponing. We could move it to another date. Give your dad no excuse. The thought had crossed my mind too. But something inside me rebelled. No, I declared, a sudden fire in me. I am not rearranging our wedding because of Vanessa's manipulations. That's exactly what she wants. The next day, Benjamin's mother, Laura, called. She immediately sensed something was wrong. I found myself pouring out the whole agonizing story to her. Oh, sweetheart, Laura said, her voice brimming with motherly concern. I cannot believe your father would do this to you. Your father is making a choice he will regret for the rest of his life, but that is his burden to bear, not yours. Her words gave me strength, but the question remained, who would walk me down the aisle? The thought of walking alone felt like a public acknowledgement of my father's rejection. Days later, I received an unexpected call from Benjamin's uncle, Jack. Benjamin told me what happened, he said, his voice soft, kind. I know this is a difficult time. Family disappointments cut the deepest. Something in his tone suggested personal experience with such pain. It sounds like you understand, I replied. More than you might guess, he murmured. And then, the words that changed everything. Family isn't just about blood, Adrian. It's about who shows up for you when it matters. A week before the wedding, I hit rock bottom. Midnight, sitting on our bathroom floor, overwhelmed by grief. The wedding was coming together perfectly, but the gaping hole left by my father's absence felt immense. The next morning, Benjamin suggested I meet his mother for lunch. Laura was waiting at a quiet cafe table. Benjamin is worried about you, she said, squeezing my hand. We all are. I just feel abandoned, I confessed, stirring my tea. It's okay to feel that way, Adrian, Laura said gently. What your father is doing is wrong, and you have every right to be hurt. As we picked at our salads, Laura leaned in. There's something I think you should know, she finally said. Something about Jack that might help you understand why he called you. My curiosity piqued. Jack is actually my late husband's brother, she explained. Their father was a very rigid man, never forgave Jack for choosing academia over the family construction business. I nodded, recalling Jack's earlier comment. What you might not know, Laura continued, is that I was married once before Henry. A brief, unfortunate union when I was very young. When I decided to marry Henry, my father refused to attend. He said it would be shameful for me to have a second wedding, that it would embarrass him. That's terrible, I murmured. It was Jack who offered to walk me down the aisle, she said, a small, sad smile forming. He understood what it was like to be rejected by a parent. He told me, Laura, you deserve to be given away by someone who celebrates your happiness, not someone who judges it. Her story resonated so deeply with my situation. I had no idea Jack had done that for her. He never had children of his own. Laura explained, but he had been the most wonderful uncle to Benjamin and Noah, always present, always supportive. Do you think, I started hesitantly, would it be inappropriate to ask Jack if he would walk me down the aisle? Laura's eyes welled up with tears. Oh, sweetheart, she whispered, I think it would mean the world to him. But this has to be your decision, not something you feel pressured into. I spent the next day considering it, turning the idea over and over in my mind. Jack had always shown genuine interest in my life, had been nothing but kind. There was something profoundly poetic about being walked down the aisle by someone who truly understood parental rejection. That evening, I called Jack. We met at a bookstore cafe. I took the liberty of ordering your usual, he said with a warm smile. Vanilla latte with an extra shot. Right? The fact that he remembered such a small detail about me, it solidified everything. Jack, I began, my courage gathered. There's something I wanted to ask you. He set down his coffee, giving me his full attention. Anything, Adrian? I don't know if Benjamin told you, but my father has decided not to walk me down the aisle. The words still hurt to say out loud. Jack nodded solemnly. Benjamin mentioned there was some conflict. I'm truly sorry you're experiencing this. I took a deep breath. Laura told me how you walked her down the aisle at her wedding to Henry, and how meaningful that was to her. I was wondering. I would be honored if you would consider doing the same for me. Jack's expression shifted from surprise to profound emotion. For a moment, he seemed unable to speak, his eyes glistening. Adrian, he finally said, his voice thick with unshed tears, I cannot tell you what this means to me. Are you certain? This should be a special moment with someone you are close to. I am absolutely certain, I replied, feeling more confident by the second. You have shown me more genuine interest and support in the years I have known you than my father has in a decade. I would be proud to have you walk me down the aisle. Jack reached across the table and took my hand in his. Then I accept, he said. With all my heart. It would be one of the greatest honors of my life. The crushing weight that had been on my chest for weeks suddenly felt lighter. Jack was right. Family was about who showed up, not just shared DNA. The final days before the wedding were a whirlwind. But through it all, I felt a new sense of peace about my decision. I made one last attempt to reach out to my father, calling him 3 days before the wedding. Dad, I just wanted to confirm whether you're still planning to come to the reception. Yes, I should be able to make it after Vanessa's event, he replied, sounding distracted. Probably around 7:30 or 8. I swallowed hard. I also wanted you to know that I've asked Benjamin's uncle, Jack, to walk me down the aisle. A pause. Who? Jack Harris. Benjamin's uncle. He's been very supportive throughout our relationship. I see. His tone was unreadable. Well, I suppose someone has to do it if I can't be there on time. His dismissive response only confirmed I had made the right choice. The night before the wedding, we held a small rehearsal dinner. Jack attended, looking distinguished in a charcoal suit. During the dinner, he stood to offer a toast that brought tears to many eyes. To Adrian and Benjamin, he said, raising his glass. True love is not just about finding the right person, but also about creating a family of choice that supports and celebrates you. I have watched your relationship blossom, and the care and respect you show each other gives me hope for the future. I am deeply honored to play a small role in your special day tomorrow. Later that evening, after guests left, I checked social media one last time. Vanessa's career celebration. The photo showed simple decorations in her apartment with maybe a dozen people tagged. It was clearly not the grand corporate event she had described. Just a regular house party she had scheduled specifically to conflict with my wedding. The knowledge should have hurt. But instead, a strange sense of clarity washed over me. The scales had finally, violently, fallen from my eyes about the true nature of my sister's feelings. Her jealousy ran so deep that she would sabotage one of the most important days of my life simply out of spite. I closed the app, turned off my phone. Tomorrow would be about love, not family drama. I awoke on my wedding day to sunshine streaming through the hotel room curtains. My 3 bridesmaids, all friends from college and work, arrived early with coffee and pastries, their excitement infectious. As my friend Sophia was having her hair styled, my phone chimed. A text from my father. Good luck today. Vanessa's event starts at 11 o'clock. If it wraps up early, I might be able to make it to the reception by 7 or 8. Save me some cake. Not a word of regret about missing the ceremony. Not even a congratulations or an I love you. Just a cold, calculating reminder that her party was his priority. I handed the phone to my bridesmaid Zoe, unable to respond. She read it, shook her head, disbelief etched on her face. He's unbelievable, she muttered, giving me a supportive hug. Around noon, a knock. Jack. Impeccable in his tuxedo, holding a small gift box. I hope I'm not intruding, he said. I just wanted to drop this off for Adrian. I invited him in. You look absolutely radiant, Jack said, his eyes crinkling with genuine warmth. Benjamin is a very fortunate young man. He handed me the small box. Inside, a delicate, vintage handkerchief. Lace-edged, embroidered with tiny blue flowers. Something old, something blue, Jack explained. My mother carried it on her wedding day in 1930. I thought perhaps you might like to have it with you today. Tears welled in my eyes at the sentiment. It's beautiful, Jack. I would be honored. There's one more thing, he added, reaching into his pocket. Laura asked me to give you this. It was meant to be a surprise. He handed me a small velvet pouch. Inside, A delicate silver bracelet with a single charm, a paintbrush crossed with a pen. She remembered you telling her how you loved both writing and painting as a child, Jack explained. She wanted you to have a reminder of your creative spirit on your wedding day. The thoughtfulness of the gesture overwhelmed me. These people, who had no obligation to me by blood, they had shown more care for my happiness than my own family ever had. Please thank her for me, I managed, fastening the bracelet around my wrist. I'll thank her properly later, but this means so much. As the afternoon progressed, I focused on the joy. My bridesmaids helped me into my dress, my hair swept up elegantly. With my mother's pearl earrings, Laura's bracelet, and Jack's handkerchief tucked into my bouquet, I felt ready. At 3:30, the photographer. Then, Benjamin's mother, Laura. "Oh, Adrian," she breathed, her eyes welling up. "You are absolutely stunning." She hugged me carefully. "Jack is waiting in the lobby whenever you are ready." 10 minutes to 4. I made my way to the garden terrace where the ceremony would take place. Through the glass doors, I could see the guests. The floral arch where Benjamin waited, the string quartet playing softly. Jack was waiting in the small antechamber, looking slightly nervous but composed. When he saw me, his expression was one of pure pride. "Ready?" he asked gently. I just nodded, too choked up to speak. He offered his arm. As the first notes of Canon in D began to play, the doors opened before us. Walking down that aisle, with Jack beside me, I felt a curious blend of emotions. There was still a pang of sadness, yes, for the father who chose to miss this moment. But it was drowned out by overwhelming gratitude. For this man. This kind, graceful man. And Benjamin's face. His eyes full of love and wonder as I walked toward him. That moment? It was worth every single tear, every single family drama, every single thing I'd endured. I knew with absolute certainty that we were creating our own family, one built on mutual respect and genuine care. The ceremony was everything I had hoped for. We exchanged vows we had written ourselves, promising to support each other's dreams, to communicate honestly, and to choose each other every day. When the officiant pronounced us husband and wife, the applause from our guests seemed to wrap around us like an embrace. The cocktail hour and dinner that followed were filled with laughter, heartfelt toasts, and dancing. Benjamin's father welcomed me to the family, and Jack's toast brought happy tears to many eyes as he spoke about the privilege of watching young love blossom and grow. By 8:30, no dad. It was clear he wouldn't make even the reception. I tried not to let it dampen my spirits as Benjamin and I shared our first dance. As the evening progressed, I noticed my cousin Thomas arrive, looking slightly frazzled. He was my mother's nephew, and one of the few family members who had maintained relationships with both Vanessa and me. After greeting him, I commented on his late arrival. "I'm so sorry," he said, looking genuinely apologetic. "I stopped by Vanessa's event first, thinking I could make both. But Adrian, there's something you should know." He guided me to a quiet corner, his expression serious. "That party Vanessa had today, it wasn't what she told everyone. It was not a work event at all." My stomach tightened. "What do you mean?" "It was just a regular gathering at her apartment. Maybe 15 people total. Mostly her friends from the gym and a couple of coworkers. There was no company recognition, no achievement celebration." I asked her colleague Sarah about the broker promotion, and she looked completely confused. The implications were staggering. "So, she lied about the whole thing just to create a conflict with my wedding?" Thomas nodded grimly. "That's not all. I overheard her talking to your dad. She has been telling him for months that you didn't really want him at the wedding, that you only asked him to walk you down the aisle out of obligation." My blood ran cold. "What?" "That's completely false." "I know," he said. "And there's more." Thomas pulled out his phone. Text messages. Between him and Vanessa, from months earlier. In it, Vanessa openly admitted to scheduling her party on my wedding day deliberately. "She wanted to force your dad to choose," Thomas explained, "by telling him you had said horrible things about him to the family. Years of subtle jabs, paranoia, doubts about myself. Suddenly, it all made chilling, undeniable sense. All of it. A dark, painful validation. Does Dad know any of this?" I asked. Thomas shook his head. "I don't think so. I tried to tell him today, but Vanessa kept interrupting and eventually pulled him away." "I'm so sorry, Adrian," he added. "I should have realized what was happening sooner." I hugged my cousin, grateful for his honesty. "Thank you for telling me, Thomas. At least now I know the truth." As the reception continued, I tried to process this new information. Part of me wanted to call my father immediately and expose Vanessa's lies. But another part recognized that this was my wedding day, and I deserved to enjoy it without more drama. I rejoined Benjamin on the dance floor, pushing thoughts of my sister and father aside for the moment. This day was about our love and our future, not the painful past. Around 10:30, the reception was winding down, with only about 40 guests remaining. That's when I noticed a commotion near the entrance. My heart skipped a beat when I recognized my father's tall figure entering the ballroom, looking uncomfortable in a suit that seemed hastily put on. Benjamin noticed him at the same time and squeezed my hand. "Do you want me to run interference?" I shook my head. "No. I need to handle this." My father approached awkwardly, holding a small gift bag. "Congratulations," he said stiffly, leaning in for an equally stiff hug. "Sorry I'm late." Vanessa's thing ran longer than expected. The casual way he referenced missing my entire wedding ceremony made my blood boil, but I maintained my composure. "I'm glad you could make it for the last hour of the reception," I replied, his sarcastic tone escaping my lips. If he detected it, he didn't acknowledge it. He glanced around the room, taking in the elegant decorations, the remnants of the wedding cake, the small group of guests still dancing. "It looks like it was a nice wedding," he commented, as if discussing a movie he'd missed. "It was beautiful," I replied. "Perfect, actually." An uncomfortable silence fell between us before he thrust the gift bag toward me. "This is from Vanessa and me." A set of crystal wine glasses. "Thank you," I said, setting the bag aside without opening it. "Would you like a drink? The bar is still open." He nodded, and we walked to the bar together. As the bartender prepared his scotch, my father finally asked the question I had been expecting. "So, who ended up walking you down the aisle?" "Jack Harris," I replied. "Benjamin's uncle." My father frowned slightly. "The older gentleman in the navy tuxedo, the one who gave that toast earlier?" I nodded, scanning the room and spotting Jack chatting with Laura and Henry at a nearby table. "Yes, that's him." "You had a stranger walk you down the aisle?" His tone was incredulous, as if I had made an absurd choice. My years of pent-up hurt finally bubbled to the surface. "He's not a stranger to me," I said firmly. "He has been part of Benjamin's family for years, and he has shown more interest in my life and happiness than you have in a very long time." My father's face flushed with anger. "That's not fair, Adrian. I have always supported you." "Have you?" I challenged, the words tumbling out uncontrolled. "You missed my art scholarship ceremony in high school because Vanessa told you I didn't want you there. You forgot my college graduation dinner until Benjamin's parents reminded you. And now you skipped my wedding ceremony for Vanessa's fake party." "Fake party? What are you talking about?" At that moment, Thomas approached us. "Uncle Richard, I'm glad you made it, even if it's just for the end of the reception." My father nodded curtly. "Thomas, what is this Adrian is saying about Vanessa's party being fake?" Thomas looked between us, clearly realizing he had walked into a tense conversation. "I was just telling Adrian earlier," he said calmly. "The party today was not a work event. It was just a regular get-together at Vanessa's apartment." "That cannot be right." My father insisted. "Vanessa said it was for her broker promotion. The firm was sponsoring it." "I asked her colleague Sarah about it," Thomas replied evenly. "There was no promotion, no company event. It was just a party Vanessa planned on the same day as Adrian's wedding." My father's expression shifted from disbelief to confusion. Before he could respond, Jack approached our small group. "Adrian, Benjamin is looking for you. I believe it's almost time for the sparkler send-off." My father stared at Jack with barely concealed hostility. "You must be the uncle who walked my daughter down the aisle." Jack extended his hand politely. "Jack Harris. You must be Richard. It's good to finally meet you." My father ignored the outstretched hand. "I don't understand why my daughter needed to have a stranger take my place at her wedding." "Dad, stop it," I hissed, mortified by his behavior. Jack remained composed. "I can understand your confusion. It was an honor to support Adrienne on her special day, especially knowing how important the ceremony was to her." "Important to her?" My father scoffed. "If it was so important, she could have scheduled it on a day that didn't conflict with her sister's event." "My wedding was scheduled 9 months ago," I interjected, my voice shaking. "Vanessa deliberately planned her party for the same day, and Thomas has proof of it." Thomas reluctantly showed my father the text messages. My father read them, his face growing increasingly pale. "This cannot be right," he muttered. "Vanessa would not do this." "She has been doing it for years, Dad," I said, my voice breaking. "She has been deliberately driving a wedge between us since Mom died. She lied to you about me not wanting you at my art ceremony, about me not caring if you came to my graduation dinner, and now about me not really wanting you to walk me down the aisle. My father looked genuinely shocked. She told me you said having me walk you down the aisle would be embarrassing because we're not close anymore. She said you only asked out of obligation. That is absolutely not true. I insisted. I wanted you there. I have always wanted you in my life. The realization seemed to hit my father all at once, the years of manipulation suddenly becoming crystal clear to him. His expression shifted from confusion to anger. I need to speak with Vanessa, he said sharply, pulling out his phone. Not now. I pleaded. This is my wedding reception. But he was already dialing, stepping away from us. Jack placed a gentle hand on my shoulder. I'm so sorry about this, Adrian. Should I get Benjamin? I nodded gratefully, feeling overwhelmed. Jack disappeared, returning moments later with my new husband. Benjamin took in the situation, quickly putting a protective arm around me. What happened? Before I could explain, my father returned, his face flushed with anger. Vanessa hung up on me. I'm going to her apartment right now to get the truth. Dad, please, I said. Can this wait until tomorrow? This is supposed to be a celebration. I need to know if what you are saying is true, he insisted. If Vanessa has been lying to me all these years, she has, Thomas confirmed quietly. I'm sorry, Uncle Richard, but it's true. My father looked at me, then at Jack, who was standing supportively beside Benjamin and me. Something about seeing us together seemed to trigger a fresh wave of anger in him. So you replace me with him? He demanded, gesturing toward Jack. Some random old man you barely know? Jack stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. Mr. Evans, I understand you are upset, but this is neither the time nor place for this conversation. Today is about Adrian and Benjamin's marriage, not about past grievances. Don't tell me what this day is about, my father snapped. She is my daughter. Then perhaps you should have acted like her father, Jack replied evenly. Being a father means showing up not just when it is convenient, but when it matters most. The simple truth of Jack's words seemed to hit my father like a physical blow. He stared at Jack, then at me, his anger suddenly deflating into something that looked almost like shame. I need to go, he said abruptly. I need to talk to Vanessa. Without another word, he turned and strode out of the ballroom, leaving an uncomfortable silence in his wake. Benjamin pulled me close. Are you okay? I nodded, though tears threatened. I just wish he could have seen the truth sooner. Jack's steady presence beside us was comforting. Family revelations are never easy, Adrian, he murmured, but sometimes they are necessary for healing to begin. Laura and Henry joined us, having witnessed the confrontation from a distance. Laura hugged me tightly. Do not let this overshadow your beautiful day. You and Benjamin deserve all the happiness in the world. We rejoined the remaining guests for the sparkler send-off, creating a magical tunnel of light. As Benjamin and I ran through to our waiting car, despite the confrontation with my father, I felt a curious sense of peace. The truth was finally out in the open. And whatever happened next, I had a new family who truly valued me. Benjamin and I spent 2 blissful weeks honeymooning in Greece. The distance from family drama allowed me to process everything. I had turned off notifications from my father and Vanessa, determined to enjoy this special time. But when we returned to our apartment in Philadelphia, reality was waiting in my voicemail and email inbox. There were 5 messages from my father, each progressively more apologetic. The final one, left just 3 days before our return, was particularly raw. Adrian, his voice choked with emotion, I don't know if you're listening to these messages, but I need to tell you that you were right about Vanessa. After the wedding, I went to her apartment and confronted her with those text messages Thomas showed me. At first, she denied everything, but when I pressed her, she finally admitted the truth. She has been manipulating both of us for years, telling me you didn't want me in your life, while telling you I was too busy for you. I cannot believe I was so blind. I understand if you never want to speak to me again, but I hope someday you will give me a chance to make this right. I am so sorry I missed your wedding. It was unforgivable. There were no messages from Vanessa, only a curt email stating she was taking some time away from family drama and would be traveling for work indefinitely. I sat on our couch, staring at my phone long after the messages ended. Benjamin sat beside me, holding my hand in silent support. What are you thinking? He finally asked. I don't know, I admitted. Part of me feels vindicated that Dad finally sees the truth about Vanessa, but another part is just sad for all the years we lost. Do you want to call him back? I considered the question carefully. Not yet. I need some time to figure out what I want this relationship to look like going forward. If I even want one at all. The next few weeks were busy with thank you notes, returning to work, and settling into married life. I maintained contact with Benjamin's family, especially Jack, who called every Sunday evening to check in. "How are you doing, Adrian?" he would ask, his voice warm with genuine concern. Our conversations would range from books we were reading to work projects to deeper discussions about family and forgiveness. Jack never pressured me about reconnecting with my father, but his own experiences offered valuable perspective. "Forgiveness is not about excusing the behavior," he told me during one call. "It is about freeing yourself from the burden of resentment. Whatever you decide about your relationship with your father, make sure it brings you peace." A month after our return, I finally called my father. We arranged to meet at a neutral location, a cafe halfway between Philadelphia and Allentown. He was already there when I arrived, looking older and more tired than I remembered from the wedding. He stood awkwardly as I approached the table. "Adrian, thank you for coming," he said, his voice thick with emotion. We sat down, ordering coffee to give ourselves something to do with our hands. "I don't even know where to begin," he said after our drinks arrived. "I failed you so completely." "Yes, you did," I agreed, not willing to sugarcoat the truth. "But I want to understand how it happened. How did you not see what Vanessa was doing all these years?" He sighed heavily. "After your mother died, I was lost. Vanessa stepped up to take care of things at home, and I was grateful. It was easier to believe her version of events than to face my own grief and inadequacy as a single parent. She became my connection to you, filtering everything through her perspective. By the time you left for college, I believed her narrative that you were pulling away from the family." "I never wanted to pull away from you," I said. "I just couldn't handle Vanessa's constant manipulation. It was easier to distance myself." "I understand that now," he replied. After the wedding, when I confronted her, she finally admitted everything. She has been jealous of our relationship since you were a child. She felt I always favored you, and after your mother died, she saw an opportunity to have me all to herself. "Have you spoken to her since?" He shook his head. "She left for a business trip to Florida the day after I confronted her. She's staying with a friend in Miami and refuses to discuss what happened. I don't know when or if she will come back." We talked for nearly 3 hours, going through painful memories and misunderstandings. There were tears on both sides, recriminations, and eventually, the beginnings of understanding. "I want to try to rebuild our relationship," my father said as we prepared to leave. "I know I don't deserve another chance, but if you are willing, I would like to get to know the amazing woman you have become." "I need to think about it," I replied honestly. "This is not something we can fix in one conversation." He nodded, accepting my boundary. "Take all the time you need. I will be here when you are ready." Over the following months, we began a careful reconciliation. Weekly phone calls became regular visits. I introduced him properly to Benjamin's family, including Jack, who displayed remarkable grace in welcoming my father despite their awkward first meeting. 3 months after our first reunion, my father suggested a family dinner at his home, including Benjamin's parents and Jack. It was a tentative step toward blending our families. And while there were awkward moments, there was also genuine effort on all sides. After dinner, I found my father and Jack in the living room, deep in conversation. "I want to thank you for being there for Adrian when I was not," my father was saying. "Walking her down the aisle should have been my privilege, but you did it with honor." Jack nodded thoughtfully. "She is a remarkable young woman. You should be very proud of who she has become, largely through her own strength and determination." "I am," my father agreed. "I just wish I had been more present to see it happening." Their conversation gave me hope that perhaps the wounds of the past could truly heal with time and effort. Vanessa remained distant, occasionally sending impersonal text messages or holiday cards, but avoiding any real conversation about what had happened. I came to accept that some relationships might never be repaired, and that was okay. 6 months after the wedding, we hosted our first Thanksgiving as a married couple. Our dining table was filled with Benjamin's family, my father, cousin Thomas, and a few close friends. Vanessa was invited but declined without explanation. As we went around the table sharing what we were thankful for, my father's voice broke with emotion. "I am thankful for second chances," he said simply, "and for a daughter whose capacity for forgiveness humbles me every day." When it was Jack's turn, he smiled warmly around the table. "I am thankful for the reminder that family is created through love and choice, not just biology. And I am especially thankful to have gained another niece in Adrian, whose courage and grace inspire me." On our 1-year anniversary, Benjamin and I held a small dinner party to celebrate. Jack surprised us with a toast that brought tears to my eyes. 1 year ago, he began, I had the immense privilege of walking this beautiful young woman down the aisle to marry the man she loves. What began as an honor became one of the greatest gifts of my life, the opportunity to be part of Adrian and Benjamin's journey. May your marriage continue to grow in strength and joy. And may you always remember that true family consists of those who choose to love you, even when it is difficult. As I reflect on the journey that brought us here, I realize that sometimes life's greatest wounds can lead to unexpected healing. My father's devastating absence on my wedding day led to Jack's profound presence, which in turn created a bridge for my father's return to my life. The family I have now? It's a tapestry. It includes both those I was born to and those I have chosen. All imperfect, all valuable in their own ways. I have learned that forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or excusing harmful behavior. It means freeing yourself from the burden of resentment and creating boundaries that protect your heart while allowing for growth and change. The person who walks you down the aisle should indeed be someone who has walked beside you through life's toughest challenges, supporting and loving you unconditionally. Sometimes, that person shares your DNA. And sometimes, they come into your life through other paths. What truly matters isn't who stands beside you on one important day, but who shows up for all the ordinary days that follow. I am fortunate to have found my tribe. The people who choose me. Every single day. Just as I choose them. Have you ever had someone unexpected step up for you when your own family let you down? Or maybe you've been that person for someone else. I really want to hear your stories. Let me know in the comments below. What would you have done?